Hey, everybody, welcome to the Skilled Nation podcast. I'm Jimmy Rhodes, and every once in a while, you get an episode that gets you so excited you can't wait to start. This is one of those episodes. Welcome to Skilled Nation, where hard work meets real opportunity. From welding and electrical to HVAC and the trades that keep this country running, this is where skills turn into careers. Skilled Nation is sponsored by Tulsa Welding School. It's a way of life. A badge of honor. I am here with Lizeth Rivas. She is an aerospace welder for Magellan Aerospace, and that is the coolest job description I've ever heard. I love your title. Lizeth, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're talking about how the skilled trades are really the future of work, real. And so what drew you to something that sounds so incredible and exotic? And before you answer, I'm picturing you like in a spacesuit doing a spacewalk, welding in space. Please tell me that's what it is.
No. Not yet. Or who knows? I don't know if that's a thing.
I don't know. You need
it's
air
cooler than
to
underwater,
have fire,
right? It's like space next level.
If you could weld underwater, you could weld in space.
Right?
I'm going with it. So if you don't do spacewalks and weld in space, what do you do?
So I actually fix corrections on castings. So they're engine castings. So I work in a foundry where they do all the hot fire melting and molding, and then they come out imperfect, right? Because they just got melted into some sand. So what I do is I fix those areas that need to get filled up. I basically fill holes in my job. So not as cool as it sounds. I know everyone, aerospace is like you said, everyone's like, what? Is she an astronaut or is she out there welding in space? But I mean, in my booth, it feels like my own little office, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. I never realized how much fun you could have welding. Like, I took a big risk in the very beginning. Like, when you think welding, like out in the field, pipes, like just this aggressive. I think Cassie, it was mentioned that she thought I was going to be this big, giant, person, like coming in and you're looking like a welder.
Yeah. But you're very petite, not terribly tall but you are doing this. And well, let's start at the beginning. First of all, you talked about working in the foundry, and I want to get to that. But this was not your first career.
No.
How did you start, and why did you start where you started?
It was very unexpected, actually. I've always wanted to get into welding because my father was a welder and is a welder, and I wasn't raised by him, but I have core memories of my childhood. He used to build us playgrounds, and he still has one little metal horse that he made in his yard. He still has it up to this day. And so from a very early age, I knew that you can build stuff, like big things and awesome things. So I always had that little spark of interest. And it was probably 2 years ago, I was in the middle of my own businesses. I was an entrepreneur. I had just quit my full-time job at State Farm. So it was a huge risk. And I converted my house into an Airbnb. I moved downtown, and I was hosting paint nights because I'm an artist. So I was kind of going that route. Welding was not in my plans at all.
Okay.
And while being an entrepreneur, it's it has its ups and downs. You're up one day, and then the next moment you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I need to make money tomorrow. I need to pay these bills. And I ended up going to a school night for my daughter, and there was nobody there, and it was actually a resource night where all of these resources in the valley were there for the community. So since there was no other families there, I was able to kind of just take my time around the booths, and I ended up at the very last booth with this company called Fresh Start, Women's Foundation. And what got my interest was she was talking about some entrepreneurship program, and right away I was like, okay, I need to look into them. I look into them a few days later because I'm like, I have to figure out this whole entrepreneurship thing. And I was scrolling their website and I just saw the welding program right there and I stopped right away.
Oh, it spoke to you.
Entrepreneurship, like out the door. I stopped right away. And I'm looking and looking, and turns out it's this fully funded scholarship with RSI. And I had no idea that that was a thing. Like it didn't sink in until like I'm looking and I'm like, wait, how much? What, like, what's going on? They fully funded the whole scholarship, everything in school. I knew that was like, it was just fate because I knew I was gonna go back to school. And I knew it was gonna be special. Like it wasn't gonna be something where I'm like, oh, I need to survive. I need to get an MBA or get like accounting or something like that. Since I had worked in insurance for 10 years, I knew I was completely done, like with office work or just clicking away and making calls and sales. I was done with that.
What are the differences between trades and office? Can you break that down, having experienced both?
Oh, yes. Well, first of all, if it feels soul-sucking, it is. Like, I mean,
Okay. That's good advice.
It's not going to change unless you make some changes. So that's what it was. At the very end, I move jobs fast. I give my jobs 2 years. If I'm not learning or growing, I'm ready to go on to the next step or something else. And the difference is night and day. I come home and I'm energized. I finish my welds and I just see, I'm like, wow, I did that. Like, I just feel this big hole with nothing but just like filling it in and taking my time and not being rushed, not being like expected to meet quota on sales and having that cloud over your head all the time. So the difference is night and day. And, if you love to work with your hands, if you can't sit still or you feel like you're just not happy in an office job, because it was my thing. I love working in office. I love getting ready, but I knew it wasn't something that I wanted to keep doing for the next 5, 10, 15
Right.
years just to get through. And having like at the end of the day, I'm looking at all the parts I did. I'm thinking about where they're gonna go. They're gonna get X-rayed multiple times. Like this has to pass this test, this test, this test to get through, and like to see it finally come through at the end. Like it's very fulfilling because it's like that's good enough to go in the air at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna
precision
be fun.
has to be the name of the game, and
Yes.
specs, and just there can be no flaws.
No, nothing. No, it gets X-rayed. It goes through so many processes to get through. So, like these parts are expensive. They're going to these contracts, and they have to be perfect. They for the company, the customer to be happy and have a product that they trust is gonna be able to fly in the air.
Oh yeah, there's a lot at stake once that's
Yeah.
up in the air.
Yeah.
We're talking to Lizeth Rivas. She is an aerospace welder. That's the job that if I knew it existed, I would have wanted as a kid. I just want to say that's incredible. And this career path, you kind of touched on it briefly. It has a real emotional component for you. Like you talking about core childhood memories.
Yes.
How fulfilling is it just personally to have come out the other end, and how proud is your father of you? And do you throw it back in his face that you said, I shouldn't have done this?
Yes, my mom, since they got a divorce since I was 5, she was just like, "Oh, your dad." Like, but she was like, all, "I told you so." But my dad he's very proud, and he actually, it all comes together. Like God knew what He was doing because, when I got hired by Magellan Aerospace, I had no referrals. No, I just came in. I got the job like completely on my own, and I came to find out, like, maybe 6 months into my job, that my dad had worked there. Like, that's the job that he comes back to work at when he comes back from El Salvador for 6 months. And he already knows the job. He does all these things in, like, maintenance. He's not in welding in that job, but so they're always getting him back. They're always like, yeah, come back, you're temp, but, we'll take you back there. And so we actually worked together. And I'm like, slowly but surely we're kind of like, um, I'm kind of repairing or just kind of around that relationship of my dad, and by no like none of my doing. It was like
Yeah.
completely just like fate kind of just put us right back in the same spot. It's like you to work together until you guys like, start hanging out again and start, just having that relationship that you never had. So not only has it changed my like life financially, like it's changing my relationships all around. Like my dad's proud, my mom, my family's just like, I can't believe like it's so crazy what you do. And I'm like, yeah. And I
Yeah.
just try to be grateful every day. Yeah.
Well, how could you not be? This is an
Mm-hmm.
incredible story and an incredible arc. And have you ever welded with your dad for fun off hours? Do you guys do art projects or any like that?
No,
Anything?
not
No?
yet, but I'm working on it. I'm cooking something. I'm like, Dad, you
Can
have
you-
any spare welding machines, like equipment? We should do something, or I'm cooking something with him. We have a weird relationship because it's also he's Salvadorian, and Salvadorians are very like my whole family's Salvadorian, and they don't know how to express love or like just communication in general very much. So I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to break that.
You're doing a
like
great
that.
job here, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I'm like, we'll do something one day.
What about from the other side? You say you have a daughter, right?
Yes, and a son.
And a son.
Yes.
What do they think about your career path? How proud are they?
Oh, they're so proud. They say they want to be welders too. They're like, can you teach us how to weld? Can you? And I'm like, okay, let me just get my welding machine. I gotta get some.
Are you
stuff
showing
ready.
them stuff? Are you showing them how to do some simple welds, or how do you ramp them up with that?
Not yet. They just know what I do. I show them videos and stuff. I don't have a machine at my house yet.
Okay.
But I know as soon as I get that, they're gonna be right on it. Like they love wearing the helmets. They love everything about it. It just seems so like, something about having a job where you use a helmet.
Oh, so cool. Yeah. It's like you wear a helmet when you're riding a motorcycle, not a car. Way cooler. Automatically. Helmets mean cool. Yeah.
Right. So they're extremely proud too. And they say when they grow up, they want to be a welder, a doctor, a mechanic. They have all these lists
Oh,
of
man.
things. And I know that they're going to know how to weld too, just because it's such a awesome like skill or like, thing to show to someone else. And
Mhm.
I love teaching. I was an art teacher too, and I just love teaching. So I know that one day they'll be welding themselves, and who knows what they'll be doing.
What is that? And I'm sorry to be so,
Mm.
touchy-feely emotional, but like knowing that they want to follow your path, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel really proud. Yeah, like I'm doing something that is changing the perception of what is possible for any of them and anyone, that might feel like, oh, I can't, like I'm just a girl or I'm small or like there was a lot of things that could have stopped me, that could have like stopped me just from following through on what I had already put myself like
Yeah.
through, right? And getting this application and getting approved and then sinking in. Like it was a little scary, but when I look back, I'm like, man, I went through some really hard days, like caught on fire a couple of times and sparks flying, getting burned, and I'm like, maybe my dad was right. Maybe I'm not cut out for this, and just being able to complete something, it feels really, really good and really fulfilling.
You don't generally get caught on fire in the insurance office. So yeah, that's an incredible switch. And what helped you push through those hard days?
I was reading books, so even today I listen to books a lot, just Audible, and I just listen to a lot of like just motivational things, like things that keep me interested, keep me intrigued, because welding is such a like a you're focused. Like
Okay.
when you're welding, you're in it. You can't be anywhere else. Like you're right there. And if you're having a bad time, you're gonna have a worse time welding
Okay.
because your hand, everything depends on just like you can't be shaking. You have to be breathing. It's almost like a meditation while you're welding, because you also have to just take a deep breath and then just sit there.
Yeah, it sounds very zen. Very, very, cause, well, that singular focus,
Yeah.
really, you got to be locked in.
Yeah. And also just kind of laughter. Like I didn't close myself off. Like I had not gone back to school since high school. So this
Okay.
was my first time ever attending school since I graduated high school 10 years ago, plus 10 years ago. Aging myself. And so I didn't close myself off. Even though it was a lot of guys, I knew I was older,
Mm-hmm.
but I kind of fit in, still. Um and just having it kind of took me back to my old days back in like elementary school. I always was hanging out with friends, and it was a good time. And I also didn't hide myself from like, you know, from the people that were around me, because they also helped me, like we all helped each other. Little did I know, like those little connections, those little friendships that I made, like would help me out so much to get through school. There was so many times where I was in a pickle. Like I was like my grinder got jammed, or my hose, like I burned through it, and I didn't have like tools. And just having those like connections, someone was always like, here, like I have an extra one, or we'll help you out. Or and it made me feel so good, so happy to have those hard days, but know that you don't grow if you're not being challenged.
You hear it all the time. You got to
Yeah.
get out of your comfort zone.
You do.
So you're saying that when you went to RSA, you found a welcoming community, and
Yes.
even though would you say it's still mostly guys, or are there more and more women getting into the trades?
Actually, I feel like there's a lot more women now.
Okay.
I feel like when I left in my class, we were, I think, 20 students and 3 girls. 3
Okay.
girls.
And you think it's more than that these days?
I think so. Yeah. I hope so too, because it's such an awesome trade for women to get into,
Yeah.
especially if you find a job TIG welding. Like it's less fire, less crazy, less travel, and
Tell me
it's
the
a very good
difference.
job.
Tell me the difference between
Yeah.
what is a TIG weld and how does it differentiate from other kinds?
So TIG weld uses a tungsten arc, so it's a very like detailed like arc that
Which
comes out.
Makes sense for aerospace, it
Yes.
would seem, yeah.
And then you have the rod that you're actually feeding in, and you're dropping drop by drop, drop by
And that's
drop.
how you're filling in these imperfections in the forged, is it, or
The
molded?
the castings. like the
Castings, okay.
Yeah. So TIG welding is you're using both your hands. Well, you're always using both your hands, but you're not just holding this stick like with a stick weld,
Yeah.
kind of just like guiding it through. And TIG weld, you're using everything. You're using your foot for the pedal, you're using your hand to feed, and you're using your torch as well. So you're just like locked in.
How wiped out? You say you have so much energy at the end of the day, and you have a ton of energy just in real life, but you are talking about being so locked in. Are you wrung out at the end of the day? How can you wind up energized after that? Because that seems like it would be very taxing.
I think it's making the most out of like every situation. So like I've always wanted an early schedule. Like so like all these things that I really wanted, I was detailed about it in my journal. Like before I got the job, before I even started school, I was doing my research, because I feel like in order for you to accomplish something, you have to have a target at least that you're, shooting towards.
Yeah.
You can't just shoot blindly. And my target was, okay, let me look at my options. There's stick welding, there's MIG and TIG. And I want to see what pays the most. What is the most exotic? What is the one that I can like build a skill that not anyone can just walk in and do? And I was looking into all of the options. Okay, MIG is not good for me. That's when I caught fire. That was not a good time.
It usually speaks poorly of a choice. Yeah, I caught fire doing that. Nah. What's next?
Stick, too demanding out. Like you're out in the fields. You're
Okay.
out. I have kids. I have a family. I have to stay local.
So you want to come home and yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, TIG. Ooh, okay. It's clean, stainless steel. You have copper. I've even seen gold. Some like I think they use gold on some rockets, and I'm like, ooh, I like the word exotic. You know, like I want to go for the exotic things. And so I was like, okay, TIG, check. Cars, I can work on cars, like mufflers. I can work on boats. I can work on tanks. What do I want? Aerospace. Ooh, I like how aerospace sounds. I'm gonna go for aerospace. And I was just doing research, and I'm like, okay, aerospace. It looks like they have set schedules. They have a set location. Oh, I really want a job where I'm up early and I get out early.
Okay.
So I was very detailed about the things that I wanted. And now I have those things. I have the aerospace job. I have the early schedule. I'm in at 3 a.m. and I'm out by 12:30.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it works for your life. But, you wouldn't have known it was a match if you didn't go through that detail work of
Yes.
creating that mental plan for yourself. I mean, you were
Yes.
detailed about the vision, and then you went and achieved it.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and you're saying the community was welcoming to you. And tell me about that experience of learning. I know you said there were some times where, you zeroed in, but like, what was the thing that surprised you about yourself the most in the process of learning this skilled trade?
I was really surprised by the end when I don't want to, sound cocky or anything, but I was getting like better grades than my friends, these boys, these kids. I was like, you know what? Like I read about this. I read that women are better welders because of their just stability, hand-eye coordination, their detail work. And I obviously wasn't telling them I'm better than you guys or comparing it. I didn't even like to bring up my grades. They were the ones always wanting to bring them up, and then I would have to tell them, oh, I got a 95. I got a, and they're like, what? I got an 87 or something. And I'm like, oh, wow. And so I guess that was really surprising to me because I like to move silently and I wouldn't have known their grades if, we weren't so like close and like friendly that we were, asking each other, we would help each other out. And so kind of learning that I was kind of getting these like better grades than them, I was like, wow, like I can do this. I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing.
And so the message to young women who might be listening too is that you can do this.
Yes.
I mean, because as you said, the stereotypes work against it, but it's just not true in practice. You found a welcoming community and you were able to excel.
Yes.
We're talking to Lizeth Rivas, and she is a ninja. She's an aerospace welder for Magellan Aerospace. And the stuff that you're doing is going up in the air. It's going out into space. You talk about the weight on your shoulders. That's why I asked. It's not just the certifications. How much responsibility do you feel to get this stuff exactly right? Because I imagine precision is everything in your industry.
Yes. Honestly, I like patterns. I like paying attention to patterns.
So this
like,
really fits your personality. I mean, your career is a real fit.
Yes, it really is. Thank God. I like patterns and having this routine, having this muscle memory, these weld hours that I'm putting in with the same material but different parts. Okay, different locations, different kind of styles. So it keeps me entertained and it keeps me like pushing to just keep that TIG cup on there, get that coverage, and then if it fails through the X-ray, it's really no biggie. Like they'll cut it out, and I'll redo it, and we'll go for the next try again. So like these parts come out perfect. Like by the very end. So if something is not right, like my air is a little low and it didn't get gas coverage, there's gas holes, something's going on in the part, like we're gonna make sure that it gets redone, until it gets perfect. So I feel like that's kind of that ease where it's not like, oh my gosh, it has to be perfect on the first try or it's out. So there's a lot of wiggle room. And
Well, it
that's
also
what
sounds
I love.
you have a whole team that's working toward that perfection together. You're not alone.
Yes, yeah, that teamwork too.
And you just said gas hole, and I can't get over it. That's I'm kind of hung up on that. What about the art? You have an art background, art teacher. How much artistic fulfillment do you get out of this job?
Oh, so much because I always wanted to get paid beautifully for my hand skill. I didn't want to do sales anymore. I didn't want to meet quotas and call people and customer service. I wanted to do something with my hands and get paid for it. So just every day I'm like, man, I come in and these hands got me this certification. Like you come in here, you have to earn your certification, and your own hand has to like, learn that skill and perfect it. So it's so rewarding to know that I'm going in every day and I'm coming out and my hands contributed to that work.
And you defy so many expectations of what people like mentally think of. When I make my mental picture of a welder, with apologies, you're not the image that pops into my head. So what do you say to other people, whatever, by stature, by background, by gender? What do you say to them if they're listening and they think that they can't get into the skilled trades, or they can't do something with the kind of precision or pressure that you face every day? How do you pep talk them into getting out of their comfort zone and pursuing their dreams?
Yeah, I would say if you feel a little sparkle in your heart, a little tingle, like when you just think about it, when you just imagine yourself like your hood, you imagine the gloves, you imagine stuff. If you feel that like excitement, just do it, because it will be that exciting. Like as you move on, you keep going. When you first lay your first bead, you strike the arc, and like the first few days, you're just so frustrated because the stick keeps getting stuck, and you're like, like it's hot, it's sweaty, there's fire, there's sparks, and then by just the end of that week, when you compare your welds on the very first day to that very last day of the week, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's night and day. You realize like anyone can do it. And if you believe in yourself enough and you can see yourself doing it, it's possible. There's no failure. As long as you put that commitment, that time, that focus, you can do it. It's possible for anyone. And it's something where actually welding like kind of works to a benefit when you're like a little smaller, or just I've heard, you've seen those videos with pipe welders and they're just like in these weird spots, these weird positions.
Like yoga, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like there's no height, there's no skin color, there's nothing that can stop you from getting a job in welding. As long as you show up and you show that you have the skill, they want you. It does not matter what you look like or where you come from. Nothing. That's one of the beauties about the job is you can have a resume, you can have certifications, but they're still going to want you to weld test.
They're going to show you. Yeah, show us. Show us you can do it.
Show you. Yeah, so you have to show that you can do this. And as long as you have, an idea, you're only going to keep getting better and better. Just with time and you're gonna have like frustrating moments, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's something that anyone can learn if you believe and you feel like it excites you and you want to do it.
So don't let anyone else's perceptions talk you out of your dream. It's a very cool, you don't even have to exaggerate it about welding in space. What you're doing right now is really, really cool. And I just want to thank you for coming on to Skilled Nation, sharing your story, but also just being an inspiration to our listeners who might not look like the mental image of a welder, because I think you're an inspiration to every one of them.
Thank you.